Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada, where the real nectar is. Yes, we're here at Radha Lane in Houston. That's right, you got it right. It's Radha Lane. It's not something that we made up. They made it actually a street. And it's got an address. You can send a package if you like, whatever. Right next to Sri Sri Radha Nilamadava's temple, gorgeous, most beautiful temple in North America at least, if not the whole world. And we're here with the Rasika devotees, the ones who have the taste for hearing the Bhagavatam. So without further ado, welcome to all of you out there in cyberspace also. And let us hear Srila Sanatana Goswami's prayer glorifying the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which has all the intricate and subtle details of how to appreciate this transcendental literature. It goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad-Bhagavata Prabho Kali Dvandoditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad-Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who were supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madhikabando matsangin madguro man mahadana mandistadaga madbhagya mad ananda namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu saduta dayin atini chochata kada hanamuncha gadachin mam premnarit kantayospuda. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, we've reached the 7th chapter of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. We're starting with text 13. King Daksha has paid for his Maha Aparad to Lord Shiva and has had his head replaced with a goat's head. But in that different body, he's the same person, which proves the point. Our bodies may change, but the soul is the same. So we have to shut this door because there's going to be lots of things going on out there because we've got two of our dear godbrother Swamis out there. And you got, yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. So, Lord Shiva was then pacified by Lord Brahma and all the demigods. Please rectify everything. And Lord Shiva has done that. And now Daksha, with his goat's head, is making his prayers to Lord Shiva. King Daksha said, "My dear Lord Shiva, I committed a great offense against you, but you were so kind that instead of withdrawing your mercy, you have done me a great favor by punishing me. You and Lord Vishnu never neglect even useless, unqualified brahmanas. Why then should you neglect me, who am engaged in performing sacrifices? Purport. Although Daksha felt defeated, he knew that his punishment was simply the great mercy of Lord Shiva. He remembered that Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are never neglectful of the brahmanas, even though the brahmanas are sometimes unqualified. According to Vedic civilization, a descendant of a brahmana family should never be heavily punished. This was exemplified in Arjuna's treatment of Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama was the son of a great brahmana, Dronacharya, and in spite of his having committed the great offense of killing all the sleeping sons of the Pandavas, for which he was condemned even by Lord Krishna, Arjuna excused him by not killing him because he happened to be the son of a brahmana. The word Brahmabandhu Shu used here is significant. Brahmabandhu means a person who is born of a brahmana father, but whose activities are not up to the standard of the brahmanas. Such a person is not a brahmana, but a Brahmabandhu. Daksha proved himself to be a Brahmabandhu. He was born of a great brahmana father, Lord Brahma, but his treatment of Lord Shiva was not exactly Brahminical. Therefore, he admitted that he was not a perfect brahmana. Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, however, are affectionate even to an imperfect brahmana. Lord Shiva punished Daksha, not as one does his enemy. Rather, he punished Daksha just to bring him to his senses, so that he would know that he had done wrong. Daksha could understand this, and he acknowledged the great mercy of Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva towards the fallen brahmanas, including even himself. Although he was fallen, his vow was to execute the sacrifice, as is the duty of brahmanas, and thus he began his prayers to Lord Shiva. Text 14. My dear great and powerful Lord Shiva, you were created first from the mouth of Lord Brahma in order to protect the brahmanas in pursuing education, austerities, vows, and self-realization. As protector of the brahmanas, you always protect the regulative principles they follow, just as a cowherd boy keeps a stick in his hand to give protection to the cows. Purport. The special function of a human being in society, irrespective of his social status, is to practice control of the mind and senses by observing the regulative principles enjoined in the Vedic Shastras. Lord Shiva is called Pashupati because he protects the living entities in their developed consciousness so that they may follow the Vedic system of Varna and Ashrama. The word Pashu refers to the animal as well as to the human entity. It is stated here that Lord Shiva is always interested in protecting the animals and the animalistic living entities who are not very advanced in the spiritual sense. It is also stated that the brahmanas are produced from the mouth of the Supreme Lord. We should always remember that Lord Shiva is being addressed as a representative of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. In the Vedic literature, it is described that the brahmanas are born from the mouth of the universal form of Vishnu. The Kshatriyas are born from his arms, the Vaishyas from his abdomen or waist, and the Shudras from his legs. In the formation of a body, the head is the principal factor. The brahmanas are born from the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to accept charity for worship of Vishnu and to spread Vedic knowledge. Lord Shiva is known as Pashupati, the protector of the brahmanas and other living entities. He protects them from the attacks of non-brahmanas or uncultured persons who are against the self-realization process. Another feature of this word is that persons who are simply attached to the ritualistic portion of the Vedas and do not understand the situation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are not any more advanced than animals. In the beginning of Srimad-Bhagavatam, it is confirmed that even though one performs the rituals of the Vedas, if he does not develop a sense of Krishna consciousness, then all his labor in performing Vedic rituals is considered to be simply a waste of time. Lord Shiva's aim in destroying the Daksha Yajna was to punish Daksha, because by neglecting him, Lord Shiva, Daksha was committing a great offense. Lord Shiva's punishment was just like that of a cowherd boy who keeps a stick to frighten his animals. It is commonly said that to give protection to animals, a stick is needed because animals cannot reason and argue. Their reasoning and argument is argumentum ad baculum. Unless there is a rod, they do not obey. Force is required for the animalistic class of men, whereas those who are advanced are convinced by reasons, arguments, and scriptural authority. Persons who are simply attached to Vedic rituals without further advancement of devotional service or Krishna consciousness are almost like animals, and Lord Shiva is in charge of giving them protection and sometimes punishing them, as he punished Daksha. Text 15. I did not know your full glories. For this reason I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly, although you did not take them into account. I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectable personality, but you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. Purport. As usual, a devotee in an adverse condition of life accepts such a condition to be the mercy of the Lord. Factually, the insulting words used by Daksha against Lord Shiva were enough to have him thrown perpetually into a hellish life. But Lord Shiva, being kind toward him, awarded him punishment to neutralize the offense. King Daksha realized this, and feeling obliged for Lord Shiva's magnanimous behavior, wanted to show his gratitude. Sometimes a father punishes his child, and when the child is grown up and comes to his senses, he understands that the father's punishment was not actually punishment, but mercy. Similarly, Daksha appreciated that the punishment offered to him by Lord Shiva was a manifestation of Lord Shiva's mercy. That is the symptom of a person making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. It is said that a devotee in Krishna consciousness never takes any miserable condition of life to be condemnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He accepts I read that. I misread that. Sorry, I'll read it again. It is said that a devotee in Krishna consciousness never takes any miserable condition of life to be condemnation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He accepts the miserable condition to be the grace of the Lord. He thinks, I would have been punished or put into a more dangerous condition of life due to my past misdeeds, but the Lord has protected me. Thus I have received only a little punishment as token execution of the law of karma. Thinking of His grace in that way, a devotee always surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead more and more seriously, and is not disturbed by such so-called punishments. Text 16. The great sage Maitreya said, thus being pardoned by Lord Shiva, King Daksha, with the permission of Lord Brahma, again began the performance of the yajna, along with the great learned sages and priests and others. Hare Krishna Chaitanya, Joy Chaitanya. Text 17. Therefore, in order to resume the activities of sacrifice, the Brahmanas first arranged to purify the sacrificial arena of the contamination caused by the touch of Virabhadra and the other ghostly followers of Lord Shiva. Then they arranged to offer into the fire the oblations known as Pudodasha. Purport. Lord Shiva's followers and devotees, headed by Virabhadra, are known as Viras, and they are ghostly demons. Not only did they pollute the entire sacrificial arena by their very presence, but they disturbed the whole situation by passing stool and urine. Therefore, the infection they had created was to be first purified by the method of offering Purudasha oblations. A Vishnu yagya, or an offering to Lord Vishnu, cannot be performed uncleanly. To offer anything in an unclean state is called a seva aparad. The worship of the Vishnu deity in the temple is also Vishnu yagya. In all Vishnu temples, therefore, the priest who takes care of the archana vidhi must be very clean. Everything should be always kept neat and clean, and the foodstuffs should be prepared in a neat and clean manner. All these regulative principles are described in the Nectar of Devotion. There are 32 kinds of offenses in discharging archana service. It is required, therefore, that one be extremely careful not to be unclean. Generally, whenever any ritualistic ceremony is begun, the holy name of the Lord Vishnu is first chanted in order to purify the situation. Whether one is in a pure or impure condition, internally or externally, if one chants or even remembers the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, one immediately becomes purified. The yajna arena was desecrated by the presence of Lord Shiva's followers, headed by Virabhadra, and therefore the entire arena had to be sanctified. Although Lord Shiva was present and he is all auspicious, it was still necessary to sanctify the place, because his followers had broken into the arena and committed so many obnoxious acts. That sanctification was possible only by chanting the holy name of Vishnu, Trikapala, which can sanctify the three worlds. In other words, it is admitted herein that the followers of Lord Shiva are generally unclean. They are not even very hygienic. They do not take baths regularly, they wear long hair, and they smoke ganja. Persons of such irregular habits are counted amongst the ghosts. Since they were present in the sacrificial arena, the atmosphere became polluted, and it had to be sanctified by Trikapala oblations, which indicated the invocation of Vishnu's favor. Text 18. The great sage Maitreya said to Vidura, "My dear Vidura, as soon as King Daksa offered the clarified butter with Yajur Veda mantras in sanctified meditation, Lord Vishnu appeared there in his original form as Narayana." Purport. Lord Vishnu is all-pervading. Any devotee who in sanctified meditation, following the regulative principles, chants and the required mantras in service and in a devotional mood, can see Vishnu. It is said in the Brahma Samhita that a devotee whose eyes are anointed with the ointment of love of Godhead can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead always within his heart. Lord Shyamasundar is so kind to his devotees. Text 19. Lord Narayana was seated on the shoulder of Stotra, or Garuda, who had big wings. As soon as the Lord appeared, all directions were illuminated, diminishing the luster of Brahma and the others present. Purport: a description of Narayana is given in the following 2 shlokas. Text 20. His complexion was blackish. His garment yellow like gold, and his helmet as dazzling as the sun. His hair was bluish, the color of black bees, and his face was decorated with earrings. His 8 hands held a conch shell, wheel, club, lotus flower, arrow, bow, shield, and sword, and they were decorated with golden ornaments such as bangles and bracelets. His whole body resembled a blossoming tree, beautifully decorated with various kinds of flowers. Purport. The face of Lord Vishnu is described in this verse like a lotus flower with bees humming over it. All of the ornaments on the body of Lord Vishnu resemble molten gold of the reddish gold color of the morning sunrise. The Lord appears just as the morning sun rises to protect the whole universal creation. His arms display different weapons, and his 8 hands are compared to the 8 petals of a lotus flower. All the weapons mentioned are for the protection of his devotees. Generally, in the 4 hands of Vishnu there are a wheel, club, conch shell, and lotus flower. These 4 symbols are seen in the 4 hands of Vishnu in different arrangements. The club and the wheel are the Lord's symbols of punishment for the demons and miscreants, and the lotus flower and conch shell are used to bless the devotees. There are always 2 classes of men, the devotees and the demons. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya Sadhunam. The Lord is always ready for the protection of the devotees and annihilation of the demons. There are demons and devotees in this material world. But in the spiritual world, there is no such distinction. In other words, Lord Vishnu is the proprietor of both the material and spiritual worlds. In the material world, almost everyone is of the demoniac nature. But there are also devotees who appear to be in the material world, although they are always situated in the spiritual world. A devotee's position is always transcendental, and he is always protected by Lord Vishnu. Text 21. Lord Vishnu looked extraordinarily beautiful because the goddess of fortune and a garland were situated on his chest. His face was beautifully decorated with a smiling attitude, which can captivate the entire world, especially the devotees. Fans of white hair appeared on both sides of the Lord like white swans, and the white canopy overhead looked like the moon. Purport. The smiling face of Lord Vishnu is pleasing to the whole world. Not only devotees, but even non-devotees are attracted by such a smile. This verse nicely describes how the sun, moon, 8-petaled lotus flower, and humming black bees were represented by the fans of hair, the overhead canopy, the moving earrings on both sides of his face, and his blackish hair. All together, accompanied by the conch shell, wheel, club, lotus flower, bow, arrows, shield, and sword in his hands, these presented a grand and beautiful audience for Lord Vishnu, which captivated all the demigods there, including Daksa and Lord Brahma. Text 22. As soon as Lord Vishnu was visible, all the demigods, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, the Gandharvas, and all present there, immediately offered their respectful obeisances by falling down straight before him. Purport. It appears that Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Lord, even of Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. What to speak of the demigods, Gandharvas, and ordinary living entities. It is stated in a prayer, Young Brahma, Varunendra, Rudra, Maruta. All the demigods worship Lord Shiva. Similarly, Dhyana Vastita Tad Katena Manasa Pashyantiyam Yoginaha. Yogis concentrate their minds on the form of Lord Vishnu. Thus Lord Vishnu is worshipable by all demigods, all Gandharvas, and even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Tad Vishnu Paramam padam sada pashanti suryaha. Vishnu is therefore the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even though Lord Shiva was previously referred to in prayers by Lord Brahma as the Supreme, when Lord Vishnu appeared, Shiva also fell prostrated before him to offer respectful obeisances. Text 23. In the presence of the glaring effulgence of the bodily luster of Narayana, everyone else's luster faded away, and everyone stopped speaking. Fearful with awe and veneration, all present touched their hands to their heads and prepared to offer their prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead at Hoksaja. Text 24. Chaitanya, the next time you go into Maharaj's room, when you go in the door to the left, you'll see a thermostat. It's for this room also. And see where it's set, because right now it's a little high, very, very stuffy. Thank you. Well, of course, I'm sure you'll do it tactfully. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Text 24. Although the mental scope of even demigods like Brahma was unable to comprehend the unlimited glories of the Supreme Lord, they were all able to perceive the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by His grace. Only by such grace could they offer their respectful prayers according to their different capacities. Purport. The Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, is always unlimited, and His glories cannot be completely enumerated by anyone, even by a personality like Lord Brahma. It is said that Ananta, a direct incarnation of the Lord, has unlimited mouths, and with each mouth he has been trying to describe the glories of the Lord for an unlimited span of time. Yet the glories of the Lord remain unlimited, and He therefore never finishes. It is not possible for any ordinary living entity to understand or to glorify the unlimited personality of God. Yeah, leave it open. Thank you. It is not possible for any ordinary living entity to understand or to glorify the unlimited personality of Godhead. But one can offer prayers or service to the Lord according to one's particular capacity. This capacity is increased by the service spirit. Sevan mukhe hijivado means that the service of the Lord begins with the tongue. This refers to chanting. By chanting Hare Krishna, one begins the service of the Lord. Another function of the tongue is to taste and accept the Lord's prasad. We have to begin our service to the unlimited with the tongue and become perfect in chanting and accepting the Lord's prasad. To accept the Lord's prasad means to control the entire set of senses. The tongue is considered to be the most uncontrollable sense because it hankers for so many unwholesome eatables, thereby forcing the living entity into the dungeon of material conditional life. As the living entity transmigrates from one form of life to another, he has to eat so many abominable foodstuffs that finally there is no limit. The tongue should be engaged in chanting and in eating the Lord's prasad so that the other senses will be controlled. Chanting is the medicine and prasad is the diet. With these processes, one can begin his service, and as the service increases, the Lord reveals more and more to the devotee. But there is no limit to His glories, and there is no limit to engaging oneself in the service of the Lord. Text 25. When Lord Vishnu accepted the oblations offered in the sacrifice, Daksa, the Prajapati, began with great pleasure to offer respectful prayers unto him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually the master of all sacrifices and preceptor of all the Prajapatis, and he is served even by such personalities as Nanda and Sunanda. Text 26. Daksha addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, you are transcendental to all speculative positions. You are completely spiritual, devoid of all fear, and you are always in control of the material energy. Even though you appear in the material energy, you are situated transcendentally. You are always free from material contamination because you are completely self-sufficient. Text 27. The priests addressed the Lord, saying, O Lord, transcendental to material contamination, by the curse offered by Lord Shiva's men, we have become attached to fruitive activities, and thus we are now fallen, and therefore do not know anything about you. On the contrary, we are now involved in the injunctions of the three departments of the Vedic knowledge under the plea of executing rituals in the name of Yajna. We know that you have made arrangements for distributing the respective shares of the demigods. Purport. The Vedas are known as Trigunya Vishaya Veda, in Bhagavad Gita 2:45. Those who are serious students of the Vedas are very much attached to the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas, and therefore these Vedavadis cannot understand that the ultimate goal of the Vedas is to understand Lord Krishna or Vishnu. That the ultimate goal of the Vedas, to those who have transcended the qualitative Vedic contractions, however, can understand Krishna, who is never contaminated by the material qualities. Therefore, Lord Vishnu is addressed here as Ananjana, free from material contamination. In Bhagavad Gita 2:42, the crude Vedic scholars have been deprecated by Krishna as follows. Yamimam pushpitam bacham pravadantya vipashtitaha veda vada ratak partha nanyat astiti vadinaha. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, and they say that there is nothing more than this. Text 28. The members of the assembly address the Lord. O exclusive shelter for all who are situated in troubled life, in this formidable fort of conditional existence, the time element, like a snake, is always looking for an opportunity to strike. This world is full of ditches of so-called distress and happiness, and there are many ferocious animals always ready to attack. The fire of lamentation is always blazing, and the mirage of false happiness is always alluring, but one has no shelter from them. Thus foolish persons live in the cycle of birth and death, always overburdened in discharging their so-called duties, and we do not know when they will accept the shelter of your lotus feet. Purport. Persons who are not in Krishna consciousness are living a very precarious life, as described in this verse. But all these circumstantial conditions are due to forgetfulness of Krishna. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to give relief to all these bewildered and distressed persons. Therefore, it is the greatest relief work for all human society, and the workers thereof are the greatest well-wishers, for they follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, who is the greatest friend to all living entities. Text 29. Lord Shiva said, My dear Lord, My mind and consciousness are always fixed on your lotus feet, which as the source of all benediction and fulfillment of all desires are worshipped by all liberated great sages, because your lotus feet are worthy of worship. With my mind fixed on your lotus feet, I am no longer disturbed by persons who blaspheme me, claiming that my activities are not purified. I do not mind their accusations, and I excuse them out of compassion, just as you exhibit compassion toward all living entities. Purport. Lord Shiva expresses herein his regret at having been angry and having disturbed the sacrificial activities of Daksha. King Daksha had insulted him in many ways, and thus he had become angry and had frustrated the entire sacrificial ceremony. Later, when he was pleased that yoga performances were reinstituted, and therefore he regretted his activities. Now he says that because his mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, he is no longer disturbed by the ordinary critics of his way of life. From this statement of Lord Shiva, it is understood that as long as one is on the material platform, one is affected by the three modes of material nature. As soon as one is in Krishna consciousness, however, one is no longer affected by such material activities. One should therefore always be fixed in Krishna consciousness, busy in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. It is guaranteed that such a devotee will never be affected by the actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature. This fact is also corroborated in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone who is fixed in the transcendental service of the Lord has surpassed all the material qualities and is situated in the status of Brahman realization, in which one is not afflicted by hankering for material objects. The recommendation of the Srimad-Bhagavatam is that one should always be Krishna conscious and should never forget his transcendental relationship with the Lord. This program has to be followed strictly by everyone. From the statement of Lord Shiva, it is understood that he was always in Krishna consciousness, and thus he remained free from material affliction. The only remedy, therefore, is to continue Krishna consciousness rigidly in order to get out of the contamination of the material modes. Text 30, sorry. Sri Bhrigu said, "My dear Lord, all living entities, beginning from the highest, namely Lord Brahma, down to the ordinary ant, are under the influence of the insurmountable spell of illusory energy, and thus they are ignorant of their constitutional position. Everyone believes in the concept of the body, and all are thus submerged in the darkness of illusion. They are actually unable to understand how you live in every living entity as the Supersoul, nor can they understand your absolute position. But you are the eternal friend and protector of all surrendered souls. Therefore, please be kind toward us and forgive all our offenses." Purport. Bhrigu Muni was conscious of the scandalous behavior exhibited by each and every one of them, including Brahma and Lord Shiva, in the sacrificial ceremony of Daksha. By mentioning Brahma, the chief of all the living entities within this material world, he wanted to state that everyone, including also Brahma and Lord Shiva, is under the concept of the body and under the spell of material energy. All but Vishnu. That is the version of Bhrigu. As long as one is under the concept of the body as self, it is very difficult to understand the Supersoul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Conscious that he was not greater than Brahma, Brigu included himself in the list of offenders. Ignorant personalities or conditioned souls have no choice but to accept their precarious condition under material nature. The only remedy is to surrender to Vishnu and always pray to be excused. One should depend only on the causeless mercy of the Lord for deliverance, and not even slightly on one's own strength. That is the perfect position of a Krishna-conscious person. The Lord is everyone's friend, but He is especially friendly to the surrendered soul. The simple process, therefore, is that a conditioned soul should remain surrendered to the Lord, and the Lord will give him all protection to keep him out of the clutches of material contamination. Text 31. Lord Brahma said, "My dear Lord, your personality and eternal form cannot be understood by any person who is trying to know you through the different processes of acquiring knowledge. Your position is always transcendental to the material creation, whereas the empiric attempt to understand you is material, as are its objectives and instruments." Purport. It is said that the transcendental name, qualities, activities, paraphernalia, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be understood with our material senses. The attempt of the empiric philosophers to understand the absolute truth by speculation is always futile, because their process of understanding, their objective, and the instruments by which they try to understand the absolute truth are all material. The Lord is aprakrita, beyond the creation of the material world. This fact is also accepted by the great impersonalist Shankaracharya. Narayanak pado vyaktat andam avyakta sambhavam. Avyakta, or the original material cause, is beyond this material manifestation and is the cause of the material world. Because Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond the material world, one cannot speculate upon him by any material method. One has to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by the transcendental method of Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18:55. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only by devotional service can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord. The difference between the impersonalists and the personalists is that the impersonalists, limited by their speculative processes, cannot even approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the devotees please the Supreme Personality of Godhead through His transcendental loving service. Sevan mukhehi, due to the service attitude of the devotee, the Lord is revealed to him. The Supreme Lord cannot be understood by materialistic persons, even though He is present before them. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord Krishna therefore condemns such materialists as mudhas. Mudha means rascal. It is said in the Gita, only rascals think of Lord Krishna as an ordinary person. They do not know what Lord Krishna's position is, or what His transcendental potencies are. Unaware of His transcendental potencies, the impersonalists deride the person of Lord Krishna, whereas the devotees, by dint of their service attitude, can understand Him as the personality of Godhead. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna also confirmed that it is very difficult to understand the personality of the Lord. Text 32. King Indra said, they're making the rounds. Everybody's getting their chance to glorify Lord Vishnu in front of everyone else. And notice how every prayer is a little different according to their position, according to their stature and realization. King Indra said, "My dear Lord, Your transcendental form with 8 hands and weapons in each of them appears for the welfare of the entire universe, and it is very pleasing to the mind and eyes. In such a form, your Lordship is always prepared to punish the demons who are envious of your devotees. Purport. It is generally understood from revealed scriptures that Lord Vishnu appears with 4 hands, but in this particular sacrificial arena, Lord Vishnu arrived with 8 hands. King Indra said, "Even though we are accustomed to see your 4-handed Vishnu form, your appearance with 8 hands is as real as the 4-handed form." As Lord Brahma had said, to realize the transcendental form of the Lord is beyond the power of the senses. In reply to that statement by Brahma, King Indra said that even though the transcendental form of the Lord is not perceivable by the material senses, his activities and his transcendental form can be understood. The Lord's uncommon features, uncommon activities, and uncommon beauty can be perceived even by an ordinary man. For example, when Lord Krishna appeared just like a 6 or 7-year-old boy in Vrindavan, he was approached by the residents there. There were torrents of rain, and the Lord saved the residents of Vrindavan by lifting Govardhan hill and resting it on the little finger of his left hand for 7 days. There were torrents of rain, and the Lord saved the residents of Vrindavan by lifting Govardhan hill, by resting it on the little finger of his left hand for 7 days. This uncommon feature of the Lord should convince even materialistic persons who want to speculate to the limit of their material senses. The activities of the Lord are pleasing to experimental vision also, but impersonalists do not believe in his identity because they study the personality of the Lord by comparing their personality to his. Because men in this world cannot lift a hill, they do not believe that the Lord can lift one. They accept the statements of Srimad-Bhagavatam to be allegorical, and they try to interpret them in their own way. But factually, the Lord lifted the hill in the presence of all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, as corroborated by the great acharyas and authors like Vyasadeva and Narada. Everything about the Lord, his activities, pastimes, and uncommon features should be accepted as is. And in this way, even in our present condition, we can understand the Lord. In the instance herein, King Indra confirmed, your presence with 8 hands is as good as your presence with 4 hands. There is no doubt about it. So we will stop here reading and open up the floor to reflection, comments, anything that's stuck in your mind that you want to rehear or reflect upon or question. Please feel free. Are there any comments here? Can you see?
Nice comments, but no questions.
Okay, nice comments, but no question. Well, comments are all right. Comments are welcome.
Can you read them?
Well, yeah, we can.
Okay.
Start it off. You're following along with me? Is that what you do? Oh.
Vaisheshika Prabhu says, Hare Krishna.
Vaisheshika Prabhu ki jai. He's my best friend. I can't believe that you're watching. My heart is singing right now.
Mine too. Richard Linked said, Hare Krishna, I love you, buddy. Shiva Kumar.
What did Vaisheshika Prabhu say?
He said Hare Krishna with an exclamation mark. Yeah, people are just saying Hare Krishna. I have a question though, since I have the microphone.
Well, that was good.
Which one? Okay. Let me pick wisely. Okay. This one first. we read that a devotee's position is always transcendental. And I said, this is my question. How do we have this vision and keep it? And is it possible for it to come and go?
Well, the goal of Krishna consciousness is to fix the mind, to fix the Lord in the mind. Somehow or other. But to fix the Lord in the mind, if you want to fix it 24/7, then you have to be able to fix it while you're doing your devotional service. You have to keep yourself engaged in devotional service. And in that way you can keep your mind fixed on the Lord. Sometimes you'll be meditating, sometimes you'll be chanting, sometimes you'll be cooking, sometimes you'll be serving, sometimes you'll be doing so many things during the day. So the goal is to fix the mind on the Lord while you're doing all those things. By remembering, and that takes practice. You have to practice remembering, just like anything else that you do. If you're a professional and you have a, technical duty to do, first of all, you have to learn about it. You have to learn how to do it. I know sometimes when you have a new job and you've been trained to do something, but the first time in public when everybody's coming at you, and you may not have all the answers right away, and your palms get sweaty, and you become, like you feel strange and sometimes very bad even. But once you've gotten used to it and you know what you have to do and you can do it, then you feel more relaxed and the sweat of the palms goes away, and then you feel okay. So it's like that with practice in devotional service. Practice keeping the mind fixed in the Lord. I mean, the best method that I've found is to chant in the mind. In between the things that you're doing that require some mental concentration that you may not be able to chant in the mind, you have to do something like when you're driving and you have to pay attention, you're in a special, situation, and you have to be careful. Then you don't want to, Krishna, Krishna, smash, you don't do like that. One time, I was in the San Francisco temple, and there was a staircase that went up to a second floor where Prabhupada his darshanam was. So Prabhupada was either coming down the stairs or almost at the bottom of the stairs, and the devotee who was carrying the offering to the Lord came by and saw Prabhupada and became stunned and then dropped something off the... I don't know, I can't remember whether he dropped the whole thing. He dropped something. And then he looked at Prabhupada and he says, "Oh, Prabhupada, that was Krishna's mercy." Prabhupada said, "That wasn't Krishna's mercy, that was your stupidity." Yes. You don't do that again. So it's like, not that you're just going, Hare Krishna, boom, and the offering goes on the floor. No, that's not, So, yeah, we have to practice, and it requires expertise. Keep the mind fixed all the time. That is done and accomplished in proportion, as we read in the purport, to the development of our service attitude. To the degree that we're thinking of Krishna and serving Him and trying to please Him by what you do. And how do we know that? Well, externally, the symptom is that we're very serious. And the symptom of being serious is you pay attention to detail. Everything that you do should be done with the utmost care and attention, cleanliness, neatness, and order. Just like if you love somebody and they give you something to use, just out of you then, if you love that person, then you care for that thing, whatever it is that they've given you to use, a beach house or car or whatever it is. You'll take better care of it than you would if it were yours. So if you're in love with Krishna and you are remembering Krishna, and if you're remembering that everything actually belongs to Krishna, then you'll take special care of it and you'll use it in Krishna service exclusively. And to the extent that you do that, the extent to that service attitude is developed, to that extent you will be able to remember Krishna and keep yourself fixed. Does that answer the question?
That's good.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Chai Chaitanya, please. Have a microphone. On the floor. Make use of it.
So if we could rewind back to 4:7:24.
4:7:24.
And particularly the line that struck me was, chanting is the medicine and prasad is the diet.
Oh, yes.
So living in Krishna house, this is exactly what Prabhupada said when he came to Gainesville, right?
Yes.
That your mission is to serve prasad and to chant the holy names of the Lord.
I was there in 1975.
Yeah? So it just totally resonated that that's the foundation of what we do at Krishna House.
Yes.
And everything else is in support of
Yes.
the chanting and the prasad. And maybe you could speak a little bit to chanting as medicine, please.
Yes, I will. Very good point. Well, in this age of Kali Yuga, in general, the population has fallen, very fallen. Manda samanda matayo, manda bhagyo padrita. Short memory, always disturbed by different diseases and disturbances, unfortunate, not very long living, etc., etc. The list goes on and on and on. So, for those persons, when I say those persons, I mean us persons, it's not so easy to understand philosophy. Our minds are too disturbed, too distracted, too absorbed in other things. So we need to purify our mind and senses. And the way we purify our mind and senses is to chant Hare Krishna and take only Krishna Prasad. Because if you take only Krishna Prasad, not only does your mind and senses immediately go to Krishna in the easiest way possible, but the regeneration of the cells in your body come from that prasad, which is spiritual, transcendental. I don't think it's a matter of just belief. I think enough people have experienced the difference when you taste prasad, even though the rice and beans and dal and grains and whatever are the same, but the taste is different because they've been offered to Krishna. I have a story. Can I tell the story? I was in New Mayapur in 1979. Yeah. And I was the ad hoc temple president. And there was one boy who joined. Very nice class of person, very intelligent young man. And he joined. And after some time we found out that his father was the publisher of one of the most reputed magazines in France. So one day he came to us and he said, "My dad wants to come and visit." So we said, "Oh, this is a really good opportunity because, father, publisher of a very important magazine, we can get some good publicity." So we rolled out the red carpet. We had the best cooks cook. We got the best ingredients we could. We had the servants who were serving were the most expert. Rolled the red carpet right out. The pujari, the best pujaris, and so he came, and we had a very nice feast, and he seemed very happy. And then, in a few days, we read the article. It turned out that he was coming to find fault with us so that he could write something negative and get his son out of the movement. That was his. So then, we noticed that he really liked the prasadam. He really liked it. So this is what he wrote. He said, "I have found the smoking gun. the Hare Krishna food that I ate made me intoxicated. And therefore, there's only one conclusion: they put drugs in the food. So then, because he was a big guy, guess who came to visit us? The police. And they turned the place upside down looking for drugs, and they couldn't find anything. All the lockers, everything, they just turned it upside down. I don't remember they were digging any place, but it was a snap thing. There was no time to hide anything in it. We did hide anything. We didn't. So then, what happened was, we captured the moment, and we forced this guy to write an article, refuting his other article. And as a result, his paper went, or his magazine went. Now, I don't remember what happened to the son, unfortunately. This is so long ago, and I left, France very soon after that, so I didn't follow up what happened. But it shows that even a person of demoniac intent can taste the difference between prasad and regular food. What to speak of our own personal experience. So therefore, if we purify the senses by taking prasadam, and purify the mind and the subtle senses by chanting Hare Krishna, then there's a chance, for us to understand the philosophy. Then our Krishna consciousness will go deeper. We'll get attached to Krishna as a person. Because the beginning of devotional advancement is when we become attached to the service. And the easiest services for us to become attached to are the honoring of Krishna Prasadam and the chanting and dancing in ecstasy in kirtan.
It says chanting is like medicine, and medicine sometimes doesn't taste so good.
Yeah, that's right. But you got to take the medicine. If you stop taking the medicine, if you go to a doctor and he tells you, okay, you have to stop doing this and you have to take this medicine. So if you don't stop doing what you were doing to get whatever it is the problem, and you don't take the medicine, you can't blame the doctor. Okay.
Sarva wanted to say something.
Sarva, you got 2 minutes. You got the floor. You got the mic. Do your thing.
In the prayers to the Bhagavatam, it says the Bhagavatam can be served by everyone. So can you comment on that?
Well, it's talking about the potential. Jesus said, let those who have ears hear. So that means everyone's got ears, and potentially everyone can hear. But he says, let those who have ears hear. So therefore it's more than just the ears, it's the consciousness. So, but on a more profound level, anyone who hears the Bhagavatam, even if they don't understand it, even if they don't accept it, whether they like it or not, they get purified. Prabhupada uses the example, if you take an active medicine, it goes into the body and it acts, whether you know what's happening or not. A little child gets, close to the fire, he gets warm, whether he knows whether it's there or not. Maybe a covered fire or whatever, but you get close to the fire, you get warm. That's the nature of the thing. So the nature of hearing the Bhagavatam, I'll give you another example. It was Tokyo, 1972 or 3. Brahmananda was there, and Prabhupada was there, and they were meeting Daiminipan to negotiate a contract for, and I think it was the Krishna book, or Nectar Devotion or something, or teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Anyway, in the the meeting happened to be close to Janmashtami, so there were some devotees there with Prabhupada, and it was Janmashtami, and this was early on, And Prabhupada said, had the devotees come in, and he read from the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, from his book that he translated from, in Sanskrit. So the devotees were like falling asleep, and one of the devotees got up to go in the other room, and Prabhupada said, "Where are you going?" Because he expected him to do this all day. And he says, "Prabhupada, I can't understand, and I'm falling asleep." And this is Prabhupada said, "Never mind, you can't understand. This sound will purify you, whether you know it or not." So therefore, everyone can serve the Bhagavatam just by hearing.
Even the bacteria and all the...
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And then Prabhupada told us when we first started distributing books, he said, even if they touch the book, they'll become purified. Even if they don't read the book or take the book, if they just touch the book. And from that time on, the first thing to do was get the book in the hands of the person,
What if they see the book?
Yes, also, That was one of the reasons why Prabhupada had the covers and especially the first Bhagavatam, the first, I don't remember, but there was 3 volumes in the first canto, and the first one was blue, and the second one was bright yellow, with the same photo of Vishnu and all all the universes coming out of his pores and everything. Radha Krishna there in the center. And I think the third volume was also blue. A little different color, but they were very beautiful. And I remember going out with these books, and the Krishna book, the first one, the big one, the silver one, so heavy. I mean, we just carried 3 or 4 of you could barely carry. We used to carry a whole bag full of them. We didn't have the intelligence to get a trolley. Remember? Anyway, so yeah, even people would appreciate the books.
That's your cue.
Well, I'm not going to run after Maya, that's for sure, in that conch shell of Maya. Yeah, it's late. We have to finish. I have a deadline, 7:45, because I have to get up early in the morning and do the reading to the audiobook for the BBT, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everyone. Lord Shiva ki jai. Lord Brahma ki jai. All the demigods ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow night, same place, same station. Hare Krishna.